Ladies and gentlemen, people will always try to measure your worth based on their own perception, their own needs, and sometimes their own insecurities. But the truth is, no one can put a price tag on you unless you let them. Too often, people allow themselves to be undervalued, settling for less because Kamal's convinced them that's all they're worth. They get comfortable in situations where they are not appreciated, believing that if they just work a little harder, give a little more, they'll finally be recognized. But that's not how value works. Your worth isn't determined by someone else's approval. It's something you have to recognize within yourself first. Think about it. When something is truly rare, it doesn't need to beg for attention. Diamonds don't go on clearance sales. High-end luxury brands don't chase after customers lowering their prices just to make a sale. They stand firm in their value, knowing that the right people will come to them. The same principle applies to you. If you allow others to dictate your worth, they will always try to get you for the lowest price possible. They will take as much as they can, give as little as possible, and the moment they think they can find someone cheaper, easier, or more convenient, they will walk away without hesitation. But that only happens when you haven't made them understand your true value from the beginning. The first mistake people make is waiting for someone else to validate them. They look for approval, thinking that if others recognize their value, then it must be real. But here's the thing, most people won't appreciate something until they lose it. And by the time they realize what they had, it's already too late. That's why you can't depend on outside validation. You have to move like you know exactly what you bring to the table. And that means never allowing yourself to be in a position where you need someone else to tell you that you matter. Knowing your worth means setting standards and refusing to lower them just to fit into someone else's world. It means not settling for people who treat you like an option when you should be the priority. It means walking away from situations that don't respect you, even when it's hard, because you understand that staying where you're not valued is more damaging than leaving. It's having the confidence to say, if you don't see my worth, that's your loss, not mine. People will try to test you. They will see how much they can get away with, how far they can push, and how little they can give before you start to notice. But the moment you start compromising on your value, you set a precedent. You teach them that you are willing to accept less. And once that happens, it's hard to undo. That's why you have to establish your worth early on. You have to make it clear that you are not easily replaceable, that what you bring to the table is not something they can just find anywhere. People will try to test you. They will see how much they can get away with, how far they can push, and how little they can give before you start to notice. But the moment you start compromising on your value, you set a precedent. You teach them that you are willing to accept less. And once that happens, it's hard to undo. That's why you have to establish your worth early on. You have to make it clear that you are not easily replaceable, that what you bring to the table is not something they can just find anywhere. The right people will respect that. They will understand that keeping you in their life is a privilege, not a convenience. The wrong people, on the other hand, will walk away, and that's exactly what you want. Because when you know your worth, you don't chase, you attract. You don't beg, you demand. You don't wait to be chosen, you choose yourself. And in the end, those who couldn't see your value will be the same ones regretting that they ever underestimated you. In a world where everyone wants to prove a point, sometimes the strongest move you can make is silence. People will talk, doubt you, count you out, and even try to replace you. They'll spread rumors, question your abilities, and wait for you to react. But real power doesn't come from arguing, defending yourself, or explaining why they're wrong. It comes from showing them through action that you were never the one to underestimate. That's why the loudest flex isn't speaking, it's succeeding. When you're silent, people assume you're weak. They think you have nothing to say, no defense, no way to clap back. Let them think that. Let them talk while you move in silence. Because while they're wasting time on words, you're putting in work. While they're busy doubting, you're busy building. And by the time they realize what you've been doing, it'll be too late for them to catch up. The problem most people have is they feel the need to respond to everything. They want to prove themselves in the moment, make sure everyone knows they're not to be messed with. But in reality, that only gives power to the people trying to bring you down. When you react to negativity, you're giving it attention. When you argue with doubters, you're letting them control your energy. And when you try to prove yourself through words alone, you're playing a game that doesn't even matter. Success is the only proof you need. The best revenge isn't anger, it's elevation. Imagine someone who said you'd never make it. They doubted you, laughed at your dreams, and maybe even walked away thinking they could do better without you. Now picture the moment they see you thriving without ever having to say a word to them. That feeling, that's what silence can do. It forces people to face the truth without you having to convince them. When you're focused on your goals, you don't have time for distractions. You don't have time to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. That's why you keep your head down and work. Let them think you fell off. Let them assume they were right about you. The moment you reach the top, the same people who doubted you will have no choice but to respect you. Not because you argued with them, but because your success left them with nothing to say. Moving in silence also protects your energy. When you talk too much about your plans, you invite unnecessary opinions. You give people the chance to plant doubt in your mind. Sometimes the people closest to you, friends, family, even mentors, won't see your vision the way you do. They might not believe in your potential. And if you let their words get to you, you might start believing them. But when you stay silent, you guard your dreams, you protect your focus. You make sure that when you finally show the world what you've been working on, there's no room for negativity to slow you down. And let's be real, not everyone is happy to see you win. Some people pretend to support you, but secretly hope you fail. They smile in your face but talk behind your back. That's another reason why silence is powerful. It keeps people guessing. They don't know your next move. They don't know what you're up to. And that uncertainty drives them crazy. Meanwhile, you're out there making things happen. At the end of the day, the goal isn't to prove them wrong. With words, it's to make it undeniable through results. So let them talk. Let them assume. Let them doubt. Just make sure that when the time comes, your success is so loud that they have no choice but to listen. The best way to handle people who think they can replace you is not by arguing, not by proving a point, and definitely not by stooping to their level. It's by leveling up so high that they can't even reach you. Growth is the ultimate power move. It's what separates those who stay stuck in the same cycles from those who rise above and create a life that others can only dream of. When someone thinks they can replace you, it means they believe you're easy to replicate. They assume you're stagnant, predictable, and stuck in the same position. But when you're constantly evolving, when you're outgrowing the spaces they thought you'd always fit into, that's when they realize they made the biggest mistake of their lives. Most people stay comfortable. They get caught up in proving themselves to people who don't even matter. They waste time trying to convince others of their worth instead of becoming so valuable that there's no debate. But the truth is, success doesn't come from explaining, it comes from executing. The moment you decide to focus on your growth instead of their opinions, you take back all the power they thought they had over you. Leveling up means constantly learning, improving, and becoming a version of yourself that even your past self wouldn't recognize. It means looking at the people who doubted you and realizing they were never the ones you should have been paying attention to in the first place. The real competition isn't them, it's you versus who you were yesterday. When you make it your mission to improve every single day, you put yourself in a league of your own. People who thought they could replace you will be left confused when they realize you're no longer where they left you. They'll try to catch up. But by then, you're already on another level. And here's the thing about elevation, not everyone can handle it. Some people were comfortable when you were at the same level as them. They liked it when you were within reach, when they could compare themselves to you, when they could convince themselves that replacing you was possible. But once you start growing, once you start achieving things they never thought you could, they get uncomfortable. They realize they can't just swap you out like an old habit because now you've become something they never expected untouchable. Growth isn't just about external success. It's about mindset, discipline, and vision. It's about making sure that while others are focused on the temporary, you're building something permanent. People who think they can replace you are short-sighted. They think in terms of the now, but you're thinking in terms of legacy. And when you move with that kind of mindset, you're no longer just another option. You become the only option. The key to leveling up is consistency. It's not about making one big move and expecting instant results. It's about showing up every single day, improving in ways that people don't even notice at first. Then one day they look up and realize you've transformed into someone completely different. Someone they can't reach, can't copy, and definitely can't replace. By the time they realize what they lost, you'll be too far ahead to care. You won't have to prove anything because your results will speak louder than any words ever could. So let them think they can replace you. Let them believe they've moved on to something better. Just make sure that when they finally look back, they see nothing but your shadow disappearing into a future they were never meant to be a part of. In a world where everyone is trying to copy what's already been done, being original is your greatest advantage. There will always be people who try to imitate you, steal your style, take credit for your ideas, and act like they can do what you do. They think if they mimic your moves, they can replace you. But what they don't realize is that authenticity can't be duplicated. No matter how much someone tries to be like you, they will always be a step behind because they're following a blueprint that was never theirs to begin with. That's why the smartest thing you can do is cut off the clones and stay original. Clones are everywhere. They watch you study your every move and then try to repackage it as their own. They lack vision, so they borrow yours. They don't have their own style, so they copy yours. At first, it might feel frustrating seeing people take what you built and try to claim it for themselves. But here's the thing, copies never outlast the original. No matter how much someone imitates, they'll never have the essence, the soul, or the depth that makes you, you. The biggest mistake people make is getting caught up in competition with the very ones trying to steal from them. They start focusing on proving they're the original instead of continuing to innovate. But that's where they go wrong. The moment you start worrying about clones, you take your energy away from creation and start wasting on validation. And validation is for people who doubt themselves, not for those who know their worth. Real originality comes from confidence. It comes from knowing that no matter how many people try to do what you do, they will never be able to bring the same energy, the same passion, or the same mindset that you do. It's about understanding that your power doesn't come from what you do, it comes from how and why you do it. And that's something no one can take from you. Cutting off clones isn't just about ignoring copycats, it's about distancing yourself from people who lack originality in general. If you surround yourself with people who only follow trends, who only do what's safe, and who never think for themselves, you'll start to lose what makes you unique. Your circle matters. Being around people who are constantly inspired, constantly evolving, and constantly pushing boundaries will remind you to stay ahead and looking over your shoulder. There will always be those who think they can replace you, but they can only replace versions of you that you've outgrown. That's why staying original means always evolving. Keep learning, keep creating, keep innovating. Make sure that by the time someone tries to copy your last move, you're already onto something new. Let them chase, let them try. While they're busy imitating, you'll be busy leading. The truth is, originality isn't about being different for the sake of it. It's about being real. It's about doing things in a way that's authentic to you. Not because it's trendy, not because it's expected, but because it's who you are. People can feel that. And in a world full of clones, realness is rare. That's why people respect it. That's why it stands the test of time. So don't stress over the imitators. Don't waste energy trying to prove who did it first. Just keep doing it best. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't remember the ones who copied, they remember the ones who created. Nothing stings more than realizing you lost something valuable that you can never get back. People take things for granted when they assume they have control, thinking they can walk away, replace you, move on like you never matter. But time has a way of proving people wrong. The same ones who thought they could do better without you will one day look back and realize they made the worst mistake of their lives. And the best part, you won't even have to say a word. Your success will remind them every single day. Regret is powerful. It doesn't hit immediately. At first, they might feel confident in their decision. They might even act like they upgraded, like you were just another phase in their life. But as time passes, they start noticing the difference. They start seeing that what you brought to the table wasn't so easy to find, that what they thought was replaceable was actually one of a kind. And that's when it starts to eat at them. The best way to make someone regret ever letting you go isn't through revenge, anger, or trying to prove a point. It's through winning. It's through elevating yourself to a level where they can't even reach you anymore. When you heal, grow, and succeed without them, it forces them to face the truth they weren't as important to your story as they thought they were. That's the moment they realize they needed you a lot more than you ever needed them. People underestimate you when they think they have options. They assume they can replace you like switching out one product for another. But what they don't understand is that energy isn't replaceable. Your presence, your loyalty, your effort, that was rare. And by the time they see it, you'll already be too far ahead, too successful, too happy, and too unbothered to ever look back. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about waiting for them to notice. This is about choosing yourself in a way you never have before. It's about walking away from anything that didn't value you and using that as fuel to become the greatest version of yourself. Because nothing makes people regret losing you more than seeing you become everything they doubted you could be. At first, they'll pretend they don't care. They'll act like they've moved on, like they don't think about you. But deep down, they'll start comparing. They'll look at their new situation, at the people they thought could replace you, and they'll feel that emptiness. Because deep down, they'll know they gave up something rare for something average. And that's a pain they'll have to live with. Your focus should never be on proving them wrong. It should be on proving yourself right. The more you invest in your growth, the more you build yourself up, the more undeniable you become. And when that happens, their regret becomes their problem, not yours. They will replay their decisions in their mind, wondering what could have been different, wishing they had appreciated you when they had the chance. But by then it won't matter. Because you'll be too busy living a life they can only watch from the sidelines. So let them go. Let them think they won. Let them believe they had the upper hand. Because in the end, the only thing worse than losing someone valuable is realizing too late that you can never get them back. And that realization, that's their burden to carry, not yours. When people leave your life, betray you, or underestimate you, the biggest mistake you can make is looking back. The moment you turn around to check on them, to wonder what they're doing, to see if they regret their choices, you slow yourself down. And for what? People who are already behind you pulled, who proved they didn't deserve to walk this journey with you. The truth is, not everyone is meant to keep up with your growth. Some people were only supposed to be part of your past, not your future. That's why the smartest thing you can do is keep moving forward without hesitation, without doubt, and without ever looking back. Looking back is a waste of time because what's behind you is exactly where it's supposed to be in the past. When you spend too much energy wondering about those who walked away, you're giving them space in your mind that they don't deserve. You're pausing your progress to check on people who already made their decision, who already showed you who they are. And what do you gain from that? Nothing. Meanwhile, they're still in the same place, stuck in the same cycles, watching from a distance as you rise higher and higher. The reason people try to pull you back is because they can't go where you're going. They see you evolving, growing, and becoming someone they never expected you to be, and that scares them. So they'll try to distract you. They'll try to re-enter your life when they see you doing better. They'll act like they miss you, like they finally see your value, but the truth is, they don't miss you, they miss the access they once had. They miss the benefits of being close to you. But you've outgrown them. You've outgrown the version of yourself that tolerated them. And no matter how much they try to pull you back, they are already behind you. You can't move forward while holding on to the past. You can't elevate while carrying dead weight. Every step you take forward is a reminder to them that they lost something they will never get back. And the more you succeed, the more obvious it becomes that they were never the ones holding you up. You were holding yourself up the entire time. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of closure, of wanting to go back and prove yourself, of wanting to show them what they lost. But the truth is, the only real closure you need is your success. The only proof you need is your progress. And by the time they realize their mistake, you'll be too far ahead for it to even matter. They'll look for you in the places they left you, expecting you to still be there, but you won't be. You'll be miles ahead, unreachable, untouchable, undeniable. So don't waste another second looking back. The past is over. The people who doubted you, they don't matter. The ones who betrayed you, they're irrelevant. The ones who thought they could replace you, they already lost. Your only focus should be on what's next, on the future you're building, on the goals you're achieving, on the person you are becoming. Because the ones who walked away, the ones who didn't believe in you, the ones who thought they could do better without you, they're already behind you. And that's exactly where they belong.